How's it going, guys? It's Harvey from Restaurant 1000. Today is November 21st, 2020, and today we're going to take a look at the Upper Great Lakes snowstorm that's expected to occur going into next week, right around the Thanksgiving time frame, as well as a potential snowstorm for the interior Northeast. And we'll take a look at what else could occur in the United States going into this week. So let's first begin with I know the topic that probably most of you want to see is the Midwest snowstorm that's expected to occur near the holiday weekend of Thanksgiving, as it should begin somewhere around Tuesday and extend almost till Thursday for a lot of the Midwest and going into even some parts of the interior Northeast. So let's take a look at the GFS radar, and you can see there's a large swath of snow extending almost from Detroit, Michigan, all the way up north to near International Falls, Minnesota. So it's a pretty large swath of snow, and you see that a lot of Wisconsin is under the snow, and you see the darker blues as well. That represents heavier snow, and so this could be a pretty significant event, especially where Thanksgiving travel is common during this time. So let's first take a look at the timing of this. You see that the GFS strengthens as this moves more south, and to show you guys the instability that's going to be behind it, let me find the map that will exemplify that instability that's going to be there. So here's a look at the temperatures, and then you see that there's a pretty big cold front moving through the south, and that's going to be the contributing factor to what strengthens the storm and creates that snowstorm right along the Upper Great Lakes and in the Midwest. So so looking at the European model, you see that there's a lot of cold air on the back side of this, and then as it moves further and further southwest, you see that this will have a lot of cold air behind it, and that will increase the strength of this storm. So you guys might be wondering from my last video is how do the models compare today, because obviously when the models are in agreement or disagreement with each other, that's huge when determining the forecast of this, because when they're in agreement with each other, then it's definitely far more likely to happen. However, when the two main models, European and GFS, are in disagreement with each other, then it's far more uncertain. But however, I've been noticing that the European and the GFS have been near identical in their forecast now, because I remember last video, the European was a lot more weaker. There was a lot less cold air dipping in, and I stated in that video that there's a chance that the Upper Great Lakes and the Great Lakes region in general might not experience any sort of accumulating snowfall, because as the European was stating at the time, the European model had this low pressure very weak, and there wasn't a lot of cold air behind it to really strengthen it and bring and enhance the chance of snowfall for the Great Lakes region. So I thought that there was a chance that there would potentially could have been no accumulating snowfall for the Great Lakes region. However, the GFS was persisting on bringing a pretty hefty snowstorm in the Great Lakes region that will dump up to 8 inches of snow. And for the time being, the GFS model is being correct at this point, as the European is now leaning more and more to the GFS model. The GFS model forecast, where it moves a little bit faster because the instability will increase the lower level and upper level winds of the jet stream. And well, the jet stream is only upper level winds, but it'll increase the upper level winds throughout the atmosphere, throughout the troposphere. So this low pressure will move quicker as a result of the cooler temperatures moving into the warmer temperatures, which is exactly what instability is. And it will be a little stronger than what the European was expecting during its earlier runs, which will increase the snowfall throughout the Great Lakes region. It won't be anything major. It won't be like an exploding or rapid intensification type low pressure system. However, it will be just strong enough to bring a pretty large swath of snow throughout the Great Lakes region, and it's definitely something to be mindful of. And I could say at this point that it's likely that you guys will experience accumulating snowfall in the Great Lakes region. There could definitely be some major changes. There is that chance that your specific location will experience accumulating snowfall if any slight variations of the track occur during the occur from this that's different from the current forecast. However, I could almost say with certainty that there will be accumulating snowfall in the Great Lakes region. How much, and where exactly, that's still, we still have yet to find that out, as the computer models need to narrow down their specifics going into the next several days. And I would say around 2 to 1 day, around 1 to 2 days before the actual event occurs, we'll get a really specific and a really detailed and accurate forecast for how much snow and where the snow will accumulate in the Great Lakes region. So let's take a look at the radar to see what these two computer models are forecasting in terms of how large that snow swath will be. If we take a look at the radar, which shows the snow and the rainfall, you see that's so around 48 hours from now, 2 days from now, that low pressure is located right around the Rocky Mountains region. We're starting to see a little bit of snow in the higher elevations, but it isn't anything major just yet. However, once this low pressure encounters the warmer air, where the warmer air obviously holds more water molecules, since air molecules move a lot faster to hold a lot more water vapor, you see that once that cold air meets up with that, it forces the warmer air to rise full of water vapor, and as a result, the swath of rain and snow increases, and then going into 3 days from now, around Tuesday, you see that the snow begins all throughout the Great Lakes region as it encounters a colder air, the Arctic air, that's currently located in southern Canada, and will change that rain eventually into snow. And you notice that this it weakens slightly as it does so, and it's as a result of this ridge that's gonna pretty much straighten out the jet stream like it has been, where the jet stream dip won't be as pronounced, which means that there is going to be less instability to really strengthen it. However, it will be strong enough to dump a decent amount of snow throughout the Great Lakes region. How much is forecast as of right now? You see that up to 5 to 8 inches is expected, and I wouldn't be surprised if locally it could maybe go up to 10 inches. However, for the most part, the general idea is that 3 to 5 inches of snow will fall in these areas, and I want to keep you guys in mind that the good news is that once it snows in these areas, it's eventually going to change all over to rain. So it might be a lot more easier for you guys to shovel throughout the region, since the rain will melt or wash away a lot of the snow that might accumulate on your driveway. So that's definitely good news with this. However, I also want to emphasize that the bad news with this is that even though it's only 3 to 5 inches of snow, I know the Midwest and especially the Great Lake areas have experienced snowfall far more than 3 to 5 inches before. However, it's going to fall in a fairly fast time frame, because you see the darker blues represent heavier snow. So that pretty much gives me the idea that those 3 to 5 inches of snow is going to fall very fast all throughout the Great Lake area and the Great Lakes region, and that's gonna definitely bring some problems when it comes to Thanksgiving travel, since it's much better to have 3 to 5 inches of snow accumulate in a longer time, to where the snow plows could pretty much easily recover and clean up all the snow, since it's not accumulating that fast. However, when snowfall is accumulating fast, it's hard for the snow plows and the shovels to keep up with that snow. So it could bring treacherous road conditions, even though it's only going to be 3 to 5 inches of snow, because it's going to just fall very fast in the Great Lakes region. And I want to emphasize that. So you might be also asking what changes might happen and what could change the forecast. Again, like I said, if there's less cold air that dips down, we're more likely to see a weaker system, and as a result, even less snow than what's currently forecast. However, if the jet stream dip becomes more pronounced, where there's more cold air on the back side of this, and that could create and that will increase the chances of convection and pretty much the swath of where convection occurs, then we could see an even bigger snowstorm where locally up to maybe a foot could happen if the more stronger scenario occurs. So moving on to, so we definitely have to keep track of that forecast over the next several days. However, for the most part, the agreement is that we will see accumulating snowfall throughout the Great Lakes region, and definitely prepare because it's gonna happen around as early as 3 days from now, right around Tuesday. 3 to 2 days from now, you could start to see some snowflakes fall from the sky all throughout Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan. So I want you guys to keep that in mind, that a potentially heavy snowstorm could occur in that area. Now moving on to another sort of snowstorm that could happen in the interior Northeast. We have so let me show you guys the radar right now, because it's gonna happen fairly soon, and we're already seeing evidence of this low pressure system begin to form and will eventually bring a little bit of snowfall to the interior Northeast, because you see in the radar right now, you see a pretty large swath of rain extending from just north of Oklahoma City all the way to Illinois, right around Springfield. You see that there's a pretty hefty and large swath of rain all throughout this region, where it's just been a rainy day for you guys all through St. Louis, Kansas. And you see the heavier bouts of rain as well, the thunder showers, and you see a little bit of rain up here, as that will be based off of this computer model, that will likely contribute to the colder temperatures that will enhance the snowfall throughout the interior Northeast going into early week on Monday. So taking a look at the Futurecast radar that's provided by the GFS, you see that current rain swath. The GFS is currently about accurate with that forecast, and then as we continue to move forward, there begins to be a little bit of a dip in the ridging, which is the main reason why this low pressure initially formed, since there was just enough instability for a low pressure to form right around Missouri. And you see that there's just enough cold air right around Detroit, where you guys in southern Michigan could experience snowfall even before the main event comes later during the week. So you guys definitely need to be watching, and this snowfall could extend as far south and east as south and west as upstate New York, and maybe the extreme northwestern parts of Pennsylvania. So watch out for that. However, you see that for the most part, I remember during the last couple of runs, there was a little bit more snow in the higher elevations and in the extremely northern portions of upstate New York and Maine. However, I noticed that the track has shifted a little bit further northward to the point where there's going to be less of a snowfall event for a lot of you guys, which could be good or bad news depending if you like snow or not. However, there is still a chance of snow in Maine, where you could see a little bit of snow accumulating in Maine before the rain comes. And the good news is that a lot of the rain is going to come and wash a lot of the snow away, and that's definitely good news. And for the most part, accumulating snow should be kept at a minimum, since this track is going to move a little bit too further north to really let enough cold air in the Northeast, to where even a lot of the interior regions of the Northeast will miss out on the snow. But if you take a look at the accumulated snowfall again, assuming that 1 inch of rain equates to 10 inches of snow, you see that for the most part, we're mostly seeing a general idea that this is going to be mainly 1-3 inches in the extremely higher elevations of the Adirondacks, maybe, and extending as far north as the as Maine, where you could experience up to 4 inches locally. And I would say that could change because, again, any small variations in the track could make a big difference in what type of snow you receive. Because if you take a look just north of the United States border, you see 6, 7, and 8 inches. So shift a little bit, just a couple miles south, could make a big difference in terms of how much snow you oversee, because you see the purples are not far at all from the interior northeast region. So just a shift further south, you could see maybe 6, 7 inches or potentially 8 if we get a shift further down the south with this low pressure system. And what will determine that is pretty much how the ridges form. If the ridge in the western Atlantic is a little bit stronger, it will force it a little bit up north that will limit the snowfall. However, if it's a little weaker and this ridge that's just to the north of it that created this low pressure system is a little bit stronger in pushing towards the south, then that could allow the more heavier snows to hit the upper northeast. So track is definitely going to be important, so stay tuned and don't let your guard down just yet, just because it looks like only 1-3 inches of snow is going to fall, because there is still that chance that snow forecast moves a little bit further to the south and east. And then outside of that snowstorm, we have to keep there's going to be a lot of snow in the higher elevations, obviously, as low pressures continue to move out. And for the most part, will be quiet for a lot of northeast. You will experience some rain and mostly throughout the northeast. However, the higher elevations and the upper portions of the northeast will more likely see 1 to 3 inches at this point. However, again, it could change depending on track. And for the Midwest, I would say prepare as if a big snowstorm's coming, because it's better to be safe than sorry. And at this point, I could say we're fairly certain that you will experience accumulating snowfall somewhere in the upper Great Lakes region. But I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this content. Make sure to like if you like this video. And I hope you guys have a good day and a good night.